Hello, everybody. I am Trellis Williams right here. This is the MSAHA basketball weekly show. Muddy River tightens the grip on the MSAHA with a blowout victory over Hattiesburg. What does this mean? We will discuss it more. Hattiesburg's girls get another win, extending their winning streak to 5 games. Will they be able to make championship Saturday this year? We'll talk about that as well. Our contributor, Charlie Cotton, has a new column out, and we will bring him in to discuss that a little bit as well. And we will also bring in head coach of the Jackson Victors, Gerald Cornelius, to talk about his team for this 23-24 season. We'll also bring on Coach Ben Flynt of the Laurel Nighthawks to talk about some of their recent successes in their season as they develop that ball club. We got a great show for you tonight. This is the MSAHA Basketball Weekly Show. It begins right now. Thank you, folks, for joining us once again. Folks, be sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button to the TSJW Network YouTube channel. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now. Also, check out the website, tsjwnetwork.net. That is the website. We've got scores, standings, and schedules, and all the like right there on the website. So go check that out. That's where all the columns are, all the articles are as well. Also, be sure to follow the Instagram at TSJW Network. That is our Instagram page, and we've got a lot of stuff going on there as well. So this past week, a big game in the MSAHA game of the week. It was the Hattiesburg Forerunners and the Muddy River Counselors. Those are the final scores from this game that was on Monday. We had 18U boys. The Muddy River Counselors able to prevail by 30 points, 67-37 on Hattiesburg's home court. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And the girls, Hattiesburg, able to get the win 50-22 over the Muddy River Counselors. 16U boys action. Counselors really held strong, 55-12. And to talk a little bit about that right now, the Muddy River Counselors came in firing the Hattiesburg Forerunners. They had a little bit of a tough go. You had some guys like Braden Dry, he had a tough time in that game. Heard that he had a little bit of a virus going on. Definitely was not able to get involved early. Now, Michael Barnes played well, but the Counselors were just a little bit too much for the Hattiesburg Forerunners in this first game. And we kind of talked about this a little bit last week. We'll bring on Charlie Cotton, who is our contributor. We'll talk to him a little bit later on, but Hattiesburg is really their first test of the season, and they were able to take that on, and they can learn from it as well. So kind of looking at some next week's games coming up. December 1st, Meridian heading up to Tupelo to take on the Tupelo Titans in 14U action. They also play them in 16U boys as well. Of course, obviously, Tupelo not competing in the 16U field. And so they are looking at playing a non-conference game right there. Also, Jackson and Hattiesburg taking on each other December 1st. That game will be in Hattiesburg. Those two teams have already played each other so far this year already, and they play for the second time down at First Presbyterian Church. December 5th, Hattiesburg, Meridian taking on each other in 18U girls as well as 16U boys and 18U boys. That'll be some interesting matchups. Hattiesburg trying to get back on the horses. They're going to play Jackson, and they're going to play Meridian as well, and they're definitely looking to get some wins right there. And so that's what we have going on coming up this week. Also, some non-conference action going on. As a matter of fact, the Muddy River Counselors and the Laurel Nighthawks are participating in the Tri-State Classic. So it includes homeschool teams from Arkansas, Louisiana, and Mississippi that will be hosted in Monroe, Louisiana. And so we will have some live streams of the Muddy River Counselors games there. But we've got Laurel has some games as well. We're going to talk to Coach Ben Flynt about that too a little later on. But right now, we're going to go ahead and bring on our contributor, Charlie Cotton, right here on to the stream. And Charlie Cotton, he wrote a column for us here recently. And Charlie, you have a new column out this week called Hattiesburg No Longer Undefeated After MSAHA Game of the Week Against Muddy River. And you wrote it from the perspective of Hattiesburg. So just talking as a Hattiesburg player, what did you guys take from this loss here?
So yeah, it's a loss. A loss, it never feels good, but sometimes losses can be beneficial. So I'm not going to sit here
Yep.
live and talk about everything that we know that we need to improve on, but we definitely know a lot more of what we need to step up on. And when we played against Muddy River, they really showed us our weaknesses, which playing against a better team should. And it's something that Muddy River has been getting tons of experience doing so far this season. They've been playing against good teams, great private school teams, and they've had that, they've taken their losses and they've been exposed to what they need to improve on, and it shows. And it really showed Monday. They came out, and I was surprised. Sometimes they come out there and they just were not missing shots. And so Muddy River has clearly improved. Like you have talked about before, we expected them to improve after playing against these better teams that exposed them and helped them to improve. And really, it was our first time coming across, that kind of competition so far this year. And so I expected us to be shocked. I didn't expect us to take the loss, if I'm being completely honest. But
Yeah.
I expected it to shock us a little bit. And it did. And Muddy River has been in that position many times so far. And like I just said, it's our first time so far this season. And it's going to continue to allow us to grow, and it's already continues to allow us to grow. And we're already working on what we need to improve on. And the improvement really did start immediately after the game.
Yeah, so and the Muddy River Counselors, they this so far this week they have shown much improvement, playing very sharply. They did against you guys on Monday, and then following that, played against a team that had beat one of the teams that they had lost to by a lot in Park Lane Academy, and they were leading at the beginning, fought hard all the way to the end, almost were able to pull off the upset there on the road against Park Lane Academy. So the Counselors are kind of back in form, and we saw that against Hattiesburg. I mean, the Counselors played very well. So now also, second question, you mentioned in your column that your team was exposed to another level of play. You kind of alluded to that a little bit, and that goes back to what we discussed last week, and we just talked about this a little bit of just how do you think you guys will grow now? You're taking on Jackson on Friday, and then you also take on Meridian next week. How do you think that a game like this helps y'all moving forward into y'all's next conference games?
So yeah, whenever you have that challenge, whenever you have that competition, you're going to continue to improve. Kind of like just I said, like over the off season, you try 1v1ing players, and when you go out there and you want to 1v1 players, you don't necessarily want to be 1v1ing players that aren't up to your skill level, because they're not going to challenge you. And so you want to be playing these teams that are going to challenge you, which are going to force you to improve so that you can eventually be at their level. Yeah, we do have Jackson coming up, and we also play LCS this Saturday, which is a very good
Yes.
team. It's a very good team to be playing against, especially since we do actually play Muddy River kind of soon again. Like we play them on the 11th. And so LCS
Yeah,
is a
2 weeks.
exactly. So LCS is a
Yeah.
good team to have in between that, to get another example of us going against a higher competition, exposing us to that level again. It's a good team to have in between that. But yeah, I think it's going to continue to allow us to improve. But clearly, it helped Muddy River improve, getting that experience. And I expect it to do nothing less for us, getting that experience is going to continue to get us up to that level. And this season is technically still early on. I think we're approaching the
Yeah.
halfway mark, because we do have like Christmas break coming up and all that. But it's still early on in the season, still first month in the season, and we didn't beat Muddy River the first two games. Last season, we weren't really
Yeah.
competing highly against Muddy River until towards the end of last season. We started playing good in the Monroe tournament, had a pretty decently close game in the Monroe tournament, but we didn't end up actually beating them until the playoffs. And so, yeah, it still hurts taking this loss. Like, a loss is supposed to hurt, and if a loss doesn't hurt, like it's like it wasn't, didn't really care in the first place. And so it's supposed to hurt, but at the end of the day, it's still early on in the season, and we have time to get to that potential.
Charlie, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, man.
Absolutely. And so now we will be speaking with Coach Gerald Cornelius in just a few moments, but I do want to remind you again to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We are approaching 900 subscribers on the TSJW Network YouTube channel. We appreciate you guys supporting. Also, be sure to check out the website, tsjwnetwork.net, and Charlie's article, of course, again, called Hattiesburg No Longer Undefeated After MSAHA Game of the Week Against Muddy River. That article, just as all the other articles are, on the TSJW Network website. So be sure to check that out. Also, of course, check out the Instagram at TSJW Network, and we let you know a lot of the streams that are coming up and a lot of the different things that we have going on right there on the Instagram. And so, folks, I want to welcome for the first time on the MSAHA Basketball Weekly Show, Coach Cornelius, Gerald Cornelius of the Jackson Victors. This is his first season as head coach of the varsity team. Of course, he's been coaching there with the Victors. I believe this is your second year coaching with the Victors, but this is your first year as the head coach for the 18U squad. Coach, thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me on, Trellis. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I think we got you in a little delay, but we'll work with it for sure. So the first question I have for you is that this season, a rebuilding a year for you guys as you have a young team after losing 4 of the 5 starters from last year, including a 1,000-point scorer in Jude Williams. So just talk about how it was to step in first year coaching the varsity, so now it's a new coach, even though you've really been the guy for these guys that you're coaching now. Just kind of talk about just the adjustment of how you guys have adjusted so far.
Well, it's been a pretty smooth transition. One good thing was that I did coach the 16U last year and the 14U as well. So pretty much most of the guys have been under me at least a year or two. So they kind of help with the transition. They kind of understand my philosophy of basketball, and I think we've kind of hit the ground running. The guys have bought in.
Yeah.
They understand this is a process. They understand we're trying to build a foundation here with the Victors. So I'm happy with how everyone's bought into to what we're trying to do here at the Jackson Victors.
Yes, and you have a really good crew of players right there at that 15-year-old level. Last year, you guys were in the 14U championship game. You gave the counselors a run for their money in that championship game as well. And now, at that 15-year-old level, it's kind of tough sometimes especially in the 18U, but also in the 16U as well, because you're playing against guys who are like juniors and things like that. So, but now you got like a bunch of guys that are real good at that 15-year-old level. Just kind of talk about how you think your guys have been developing so far this year.
I think they've been developing pretty good, Trellis. As you know, man, with young guys, sometimes you never know what you're going to get. So we're kind of up and down. 1 minute we're playing good basketball, and the next minute is the guys are kind of getting frustrated. So it's a growing process. Like I tell the guys, one thing I ask is just 100% effort. Come out here, let's play hard. Let's do the right things. Let's build off every practice, every game. Let's get better. And so, I think we're moving in the right direction. We're looking a year or 2 years down the line. So we want to get some good habits into these guys, teach them some of the details, some of the small things about basketball that really will pay dividends later on, and still be competitive now. So to me, it's all about attitude. It's all about attitude. It's all about effort. It's all about next man up. So just kind of doing a lot of teaching right now. Kind of more hands-on, just getting these guys to understand the game of basketball.
Yes, and so you don't have any players that are above the 16U age group. So everybody is on the 16U age group. Now there was word coming around that you guys might not compete in the 18U field, but you guys decided to compete in the 18U field. Just kind of talk about what went into that decision and just how much you think that's helping your team.
I think it's helping us considerably. I mean, it was a hard decision. This whole summer kind of went back and forth on whether we should play 18U or whether we should do 16U. And kind of just was able to talk to last year's coach, Coach Crosby, and he was just able to give me some insight into what he thought would be best for the guys. And it really helped me to make that decision to go ahead and play 18U. We understand that right now we may not be as competitive as we'd like to be at the 18U level, but we're looking down the road. Like, these guys are getting experience playing against older guys, more athletic guys who are more seasoned as it comes to playing basketball. And so, this is doing nothing but helping us. So we're trying to build something. We're starting at the foundation. And I think it's going to play dividends when these guys get 17 and 18. You're really going to see some good basketball coming out of them. They're being challenged now. And so it's all about how you step up to the challenge. It's all about character. And so when you take a tough loss, how do you bounce back? And so I think they're doing a great job understanding, hey, this is the level of basketball in this conference at the 18U level, and we have to get up to that level. So I'm proud of the guys, and I'm confident in the decision that we made as coaches to go ahead and play at that 18U level.
Yeah, I think it was a great decision. I think it's going to pay dividends for your guys, and they're getting that experience younger, and you have them for a few more years. Laura Willen for sure. So you guys have Reese Carpenter on your team, who's a big player for you guys. But other than him, you guys have a size disadvantage, and this is for multiple teams in the league. This goes for the Muddy River Counselors as well. Just not having a bunch of guys that are well over 6 feet, like some of these other teams in the league do. Just kind of talk about what's been your strategy in dealing with this height disadvantage.
Well, like you said, Reese is the only guy we have that's over 6 feet, and like I tell the guys, that nobody's coming in that door 6'5" or 6'6" in the next few days. So what we have is what we have.
Yeah.
I think because of our height differential, we have to learn to play smart basketball. And so, we may not have the tallest guys, but hey, can you give me 110%? Can you play smart? My motto is basketball is 90% mental, 10% physical. So can we outsmart the other teams? Can we learn to play the game in a manner in which we get an advantage, even though we may be undersized? So if the guys buy into that, they come out and give that effort that's needed, then it's on us as coaches to try to put a system in around them to kind of balance things off, so to speak. So I think team to team is different. Some teams were able to go to play zone and do better. Some teams we try to man up and be real aggressive with them. So that's just kind of game by game strategy that we as coaches have to come up with. But hey, if these guys come out and play hard, they come out and play the right way. I tell them all the time, we can compete with anybody. So we're not worried about the height. Some things we have to just continue to work on rebounding. Hey, we got to box out guys. You got to attack the glass. Those type of things that'll make you a better rebounding team and give you an edge, even if you don't have the size that you would like to have.
Yeah, so on Friday, you guys take on the Hattiesburg Forerunners, a team that you guys already played against. You competed with them for a while, and they were kind of able to pull away. They were able to use their size advantage to their credit. But just, now they're a hungry team after losing on Monday. That was their first loss of the season. How ready are you guys to get back out there and play conference play? Because it's been a little while since y'all played within the conference.
Yeah, it's been a while since we played a conference game. I think the guys are hungry to get back out. They're kind of turning the corner where they're realizing, hey, every time we get out on that court, it's an opportunity for us to go out here and show who we are. So, like you said, last time we were competitive for a while, and then the game kind of got away from us. So we want to come back out Friday and play a lot better. And I think we've learned from the last few games we played. Some things that we need to get better on. I think we've gotten better. And as coaches, we have to come up with a better strategy to be able to compete with Hattiesburg. We know they're going to be hungry. We know after losing the Muddy River, they're going to come out and they're going to want to show that they're still one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the league. And we're hungry as well. We want to show that although we don't have anyone over 16, hey, we're still going to compete with you guys. So I think Friday's night game is going to be a good measurement of where we're at, and I think the guys are ready to go out and play some good basketball.
And I think what people should be aware of is that you guys' 14U program is doing very well right now. You're 6-0 on the season overall, and 3-0 in conference, I do believe. So you guys are number 1 right now. You were in the 14U championship last year, but you lost a few of those guys, and I know that your younger son's on that team, and you got a few other very good players on that team. Just speak about that 14U squad. I know that provides a lot of excitement for y'all's program.
Yeah, definitely does. I mean, that 14U team is doing some amazing things. We got a lot of new guys at the 14U level, new starters this year. Finley James is a new starter for us, as you mentioned earlier. earlier. My youngest son, Caleb Cornelius, is starting. But we got some foundation players who've been there since 12U. You got Winston Harrington, you got Titus Miller. Those guys have been with me for 2 years, so they know what I expect of them, and they bring it every night. We also got Mark Middleton, who's a newcomer. He's giving us some good minutes. And my older son, Daniel Cornelius, is still eligible for 14U, so we throw him in the mix every now and then
really?
as well. So,
Okay.
Yeah, he's still eligible. So we
I didn't
played
know
him
that.
sparingly.
Okay.
Yeah, we played him sparingly, but he's gonna get some minutes once tournament time comes. But man, those guys,
Absolutely.
2 or 3 years from now, if they stick together, they can do some great things. And so I'm proud of them. We had a game the other night. They were down by 12, starting the game, and they fought back, ended up winning by about 8 or 9 points against Porter's Chapel. So I really like what I see. And man, we want to get back in that 14U championship game again this year. And hopefully the outcome will be a little different. But man, I'm excited about those young group of guys.
Absolutely. That is a lot to be excited about. Coach, I really appreciate you joining us right here on the MSAHA Basketball Weekly Show.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
I said, I really appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Trellis. It's been a pleasure, man.
For sure. And that was Coach Gerald Cornelius of the Jackson Victors. Definitely appreciate him coming on to the show today. We also have Coach Ben Flynt. He's supposed to join us in a little bit. I don't think he's available quite yet, but during that period, I just want to remind you to hit the subscribe button. Also, to let you know about this as well. I know that you see a lot of the pictures that go around that are on the TSM network and on the website, on the Instagram, and all that kind of stuff. We had a graphic up with a good picture, and those pictures are done by King Williams with King Williams Photography. And so there is a link to an account. It's a Smug Mug account, and so that King Williams has for King Williams Photography. So if you get on Smug Mug, look up King Williams Photography, and you'll see all those pictures, and they're available for you to download there on that website. So if you were interested in seeing some of those pictures, especially if you played the Muddy River Counselors or you were at something that he was covering and taking pictures on, go ahead and check that out. Some good stuff there. Also, I do want to remind you, too, if you play against the Muddy River Counselors at any point in the season and you want those games, there's the Counselors TV full access page, and you can buy games individually as well as purchase a whole package for a whole season. So be sure to pick up that, whether you pick up the full access page if you're a Counselors person, but if you're not and you had a good game against the Counselors or something like that, you can buy them individually for $15 a piece. So just want to remind you of that as well. Since I do not believe that Coach Flynt is with us quite yet, I'll go ahead and get to the trivia section for this upcoming week. So last week's question was, what is the lowest seed received by the eventual champion? And so what this question is for all the teams that have won the championship, out of all their seeding pre-tournament, what was the lowest seed for a team? Well, anyway, the answer was the Hattiesburg Forerunners, 16U boys team in 2020. They won the championship from the number 4 seed. So they were the number 4 seed that year. There were 5 teams, and they were all pretty evenly matched. Hattiesburg finished with the number 4 seed, and they won the tournament without losing a single game. And so definitely credit to them. Of course, that was pretty amazing. I remember seeing that one. So that was the answer to last week's trivia section. So for this week, the new question for this week: who holds the single game point scoring record in an MSAHA game, and how many points was it? That will be the question for the next week. So be sure to comment. I want you to hit it up in the comment section, as well as on the Instagram. We'll post a little clip of it on the Instagram as well. Be sure to comment and see what you think, and who do you think it was, and how many points do you think they scored in that game? Well, it looks like we've got Coach Flynt down there. He is joining us right now. And hey, Coach Flynt, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, man, glad to be here. I'm having a little technical difficulties there. Glad to be with you.
Oh, you're all good. Hey, perfect timing. Perfect timing. So, my first question, I was just speaking with Coach Cornelius of the Jackson Victors, and just about this rebuilding year they're having. You guys are in a rebuilding year as well, but you find yourselves 2-2 in conference play and at that number 4 spot. So you've had some success in this season with winning half your conference games. Speak to the state of your team at the moment.
Well, I think that's tells you about where we're at. We're improving. We're not a finished product. We're trying to work on some things. Doing some things well, some things not, and trying to get to doing everything right or better all at the same time. And some nights we do play good defense, not so good offense. So I think that's part of the rebuild. Lack of experience, those kind of things, and trying to get to where we can put a whole game together where we do a lot of
Yeah.
things. What we're working on.
Yeah, you guys have a lot of height on your squad. You got a lot of young players. You're a very young team, but you do have some height. In the game against Muddy River, Brock Anderson, one of your tall guys, finished with 18 points in that ball game, and he did it using that height advantage that he has. How have you tried to employ your team's height to your guys' advantage?
Well, that particular game, we've been working on that, trying to get Brock the ball and scoring position, and we did a decent job that night. But that game was sort of where we did that better. But some of the other aspects we didn't do as well. But yeah, what we're trying to do is obviously get the ball to our bigs and score an opportunity, and trying to look at ways we can use that better in defensive situations, and maybe even some inbound situations, and that's something. So going forward with that, we'll probably just try to keep polishing up, fine tuning what we are doing well, and we'll just have to take some defensive things we're looking at, and maybe some inbound situation things we're looking at, and it'll just be sort of a trial and error, see if it works, tweak it, and just that's some of the things we're thinking about and looking at doing.
So you guys have played some tough non-conference competition, particularly one of your games you played was against Leak Academy. And that was a tough game, but game against some good competition there. How do you think that has helped your team this season by playing that tough non-conference competition?
I think it's helped, pointing out our deficiencies, where areas we need to be working on, and not try to take too much away from the lows or even the highs. We've had a couple of good wins, but we're not as, so just trying to, but takeaways, just trying to be more consistent, better defense, more consistent effort. But it does force you to get better. You just, and my guys, they never quit. So that's
Yeah.
that's a good thing. And but just trying to build, and it's easy to see what you're doing wrong against teams like that. But we don't try not to focus too.
I think you might have frozen up on us. Coach, can you hear us? All right. So once we see Coach, moving in our screen, we'll get him back on here. I did have one more question for him. I know he was talking about his squad here. Are you back on?
I can hear you now. I don't know how much you got of what I was saying.
Well, you're talking about your team. You're talking about how they don't quit. You're not worried about, just kind of these games where you kind of get blown out. You're not wanting to take too much from it. That's where we were.
Oh yeah, yeah. So obviously, better passing, better defense,
Yeah.
and those things we got to improve on, and coming out with good effort from the beginning and keeping that good effort all game. It's just trying to really, to me, is trying to put together a complete game where we play good offense, defense, and good effort and good attitudes throughout the whole game from first whistle to the last. That's what, we're just trying to piece that together right now. We're getting bits and pieces, but just not all of it together at one time.
Yeah, you guys head to the Tri-State Classic this weekend to play some games there. What are you looking to get from the Classic? You get 4 games in a weekend. Just kind of talk about that.
We've always grown a lot when we've gone out there to Monroe, and hopefully we can just fine tune some things we're doing well, and maybe we get an opportunity to do a little trial and error, try a few things that we're thinking about, but overall it's just a really good opportunity to grow, and having those games back to back, and the environment, all those teams together, it's always been a really good thing for us. So we've always came out of these tournaments with playing better basketball. So we're looking forward to it.
Coach Flynt, thank you for joining us.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Absolutely. That was Coach Ben Flynt of the Laurel Nighthawks. Folks, thank you for joining us right here on the MSAHA Basketball Weekly Show on the TSJW Network this weekend on Friday and on Saturday. We've got live action from the Tri-State Classic in Monroe, Louisiana, and that will be Counselors TV. So we will be following the Muddy River Counselors weekend. There are 4 games this weekend at the Tri-State Classic, so we will be checking that out. But you can check out scores from around the league is on the website, the tsjwnetwork.net. The standings, the scores, the schedules, the columns, and the articles, and all that right there on the website. So be sure to check that out. And also, finally, be sure to go ahead and hit that subscribe button to the TSJW Network YouTube channel. Folks, thank you for joining us on the MSAHA Basketball Weekly Show. Until next week, we out.